All right, Miles, let's move on to the Detroit Lions here for a little bit. Look, this is a team, obviously, it's on everybody's radar. You look at what Holmes has done as a GM, outstanding work. Dan Campbell's done a great job. The turnaround seems to be coming full circle. This team seems 100% ready to go. But we've got some interesting news out of Detroit that shows that everything that's behind this team isn't just involving the GM, the coaching staff, and the players. There's a kind of a higher movement from an organizational perspective that's had a huge impact on this football program.
Yeah, Nick, you talked about it. And if you look at this team from top to bottom, whether it's the front office, whether it's coaching staff, the players, everybody seems like they are now having fun. This is a fun Detroit Lions team to watch. But I want to ask the Lions fans today, is this the funnest this team has ever been? Or has in the last, 10, 20 years, has there ever been a more fun to watch Detroit Lions team? Let us know in the comments below. What was your favorite or the funnest Detroit Lions team to watch in recent memory? Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to stay tuned to the end of this video to hear a word from our partner, and that is Neuro. They have a lot of great products to give you a quick and easy boost of energy. You can use their mints or gum. We love to use them right before our show. They give us that, edge. They give us that fire to give you this awesome Lions content that you love to watch. So make sure to stay tuned to the end of this video to hear more about Neuro and their products and to get your hands on our discount code. Nick, but let's get on into it. What is going on with the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, so one of the things, obviously, the past few decades have been very rough for Detroit Lions fans, and Detroit Lions, obviously, the Detroit Lions franchise in of itself, it's had a lot of struggling times. But one of the things that's been interesting about Detroit is that they've had a good bit of really good players. You look at, of course, the Matt Staffords of the world, the Barry Sanders of the world, Herman Moore's, Robert Porters. You can go back a long ways. A lot of really good players. They've had some good coaches too. Caldwell, of course. I think Wayne Fontes doesn't get all the credit he deserves. I think he was a pretty good coach. But one of the things they've struggled with is at the top of the organization hasn't been what it's needed to be. And that's one of the things that we forget about these football teams. I use the word program in the opening. You can also throw in the word franchise. But the reality is all of these teams, just like any other corporate entity, have executive level leadership that drives so much of how the football team is run and can really have a powerful impact. And one of the issues with the Detroit Lions, and a perfect example of this, was how they treated Calvin Johnson once he retired. And that was an executive level decision, that contract dispute with how those dollars were going to be paid out to Johnson. And that really hurt the integrity of the Detroit Lions, hurt their ability to bring in guys in the free agent game, trade game, all that kind of things, and really just kind of bogged down the team. There's a lot of reports that that relationship between Johnson and the Lions is on the mend and doing a lot better. And we've got a report out here from Pro Football Talk, Mize, if you can throw it up, about one key addition from the Detroit Lions from an organizational perspective that's driving this. So I'm going to go ahead and read from the report. This is again from NBC Sports at Pro Football Talk. Dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things, and for years the Lions have dysfunctioned up the relationship with Hall of Fame receiver Calvin Johnson. That's now changing. Johnson credits the improved relationship to one specific front office employee, Chief Operating Officer Mike Disneyner. I always say Mike Disneyner has been a huge part of bringing this thing back together with the team, Johnson said Sunday via Eric Woodyard, of ESPN.com. Mike Disneyner, this is the most important thing, in May of 2022 last year, was promoted to Chief Operating Officer, COO of the Detroit Lions. He was originally, I think, the Senior Vice President of Football and Business Administration. Now, this is a guy, Lions fans, I'd be very impressed if you had heard of his name before, but it is really important to understand the C-suite level executives of these NFL teams have a lot of power, have a lot of control. Look, my day job, I work for a big corporation. We deal with a lot of C-suite execs, They drive so much of what we do today. Just the overall demeanor, the attitude, the strategic shifts are driven so much by these C-suite guys. Look, we have our head coach equivalent, right? Our middle managers. We have our GMs at the same thing in the business level, but the high-ranking C-suite guys, they drive the direction we're going. And we're seeing here from Disneyner and the rest of the high-level Detroit Lions organization that they're focusing so much on rebuilding the culture. We talk about Dan Campbell rebuilding the culture. We talk about Holmes rebuilding the culture. We talk about the players doing a great job rebuilding the culture. But we have to understand that the guys who really drive that and allow that change to happen at the very top. And it looks like Mike Disneyner is one of those guys driving that change. I think we could be looking back at one of the unsung heroes pushing the Detroit Lions forward. When the Detroit Lions start winning playoff games, either this year or in the very near term, this guy's going to deserve a lot of credit for all the efforts he's done pushing the Detroit Lions past their dysfunctional era into a modern quality franchise. Brian Mize, what do you think? What do you think of the Lions right now and the importance of a guy like Disneyner in terms of driving change?
Yeah, Nick, I think it's crucially important because that front office, as you said, I'd say from, it really started making changes in about the 2020 times. It was about 3 years back is when we started to see a lot of changes. You see in 2021, John Dorsey and Ray Agnew come in to the fold. They're still there now, kind of being guys to help guide Brad Holmes make all the right decisions as far as players and personnel goes. Then you see a guy like Disneyner get into the fold. He makes his way through the organization. Now you said he's been promoted all the way to the higher levels of this Lions team. And I think with additions of all of these guys who've been successful with a lot of other programs, been in and out of a lot of success in the NFL, they kind of have revamped this Lions front office. We talked about the coaching staff. The coaching staff, bar none, has been great. It is much better coaching staff. I think one of the better coaching staffs the Lions had in a long, long time. The team, a lot of great chemistry, but those are all things that if the front office doesn't have the chemistry, if they don't have good cohesion, everybody's not on the same page. I feel like sometimes in a front office or a corporate type organizational style, a lot of people can want to be like the top dog. There's a lot of inward fighting. Everyone can want their opinion to be the right opinion. And if everyone's not working together, you're not going to be getting towards the main goal. And that's to have the best product on the field possible. And that seems like what is going on. All of these guys seem to be working together very, very well. And I think this is a huge part of the Lions' turnaround the last couple of years. So I think getting a guy like Disneyner up there, a guy who seems to have his head on straight, knows the direction the Lions want to go in, is crucial for this team going forward. And people kind of underrate how important having a good front office can be.
Miles, there's one other point I want to end you on. Of course, a few years ago, they hired Holmes and they hired Dan Campbell. And of course, you look at Sheila Hamp and Chris Spielman played a big role in doing the research, the market research, filtering through all the candidates, settling on Holmes, and then Dan Campbell. You know who else was part of that committee to go to one of those guys, one of the select few? Disneyner. Right. We don't hear his name very much, but he's one of these guys, and we see his relationship with Calvin Johnson, and we see him being part of the committee to pick Dan Campbell and pick Holmes. This is a guy who understands what it takes to drive a winning culture in the NFL. I don't think he's going to get the credit he deserves. Spielman deserves a lot of credit. Obviously, Holmes deserves a lot of credit. Campbell deserves a lot of credit. But I think Disney's ability to understand personalities, football relationships, and every dynamic of running an NFL franchise, an NFL program, I think is criminally underrated. I think he's a special asset to the Detroit Lions. All right, Miles, we would like to give a special thanks to our partner in today's video, Neuro.
That's right, Nick. And I want you to go with me on a journey really fast. I want you to imagine this. It's 4th and goal in the big game, Nick. Your team is relying on you to make the big-time game-winning play. I know you've been in this situation before, Nick. The stadium is roaring. The clock is ticking. The game is on the line. But if only in that moment you were able to have some Neuro Gum. Neuro Gum will help you stay concentrated, and it gives you a burst of energy without a nasty crash.
That's right, Miles. Neuro has thoughtfully curated ingredients and does endless lab testing, which means that you can reach the right state of mind safely and consistently. That's the most important part. It gives you a clean burst of energy and focus without the jitters of coffee or any of those other energy drinks.
That's right, Nick. And if you click our sponsor link in the description below, you can enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.